Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You know, listen to the Mind of an Antares Moon. Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel. And I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we're going to talk about Saturn going into Capricorn for all my Sagittarius ascendants. What's up, y'all? Now, you know what I'm saying? First of all, we got to talk about this. Saturn is like a motherfucking bulldozer. So whatever house is getting ready to go into, it knocks that motherfucking down. Now, we need to know what house is in when we talk about Sagittarius ascendances. Now, we know Capricorn is the next sign over. So 9 times out of 10, whether you got overlapping houses or not, you know, Saturn is just going to slide its way into the second house. Now, for the most part, you need to understand this. Based upon degrees, you may have Saturn still lingering around your first house. So, you know what I'm saying? It done already tore down this house and already kind of rebuilt this house. So you kind of already gained structure around your personality, a lot of your personal issues, and a lot of your personal affairs that resolves into personal people, places, and things that's in your life. So you probably didn't restructure it, got a new personality now. You know, Saturn is kind of like, is at the end stages. So is in a way, shape, or form where it's like cleaning up, you know, wiping down windows and throwing away the trash, and you know, it's cleaning this building, this house up, and it's getting ready to go home. You know what I'm saying? Now, home, the situation here. Now, it's getting ready to slide into your your second house if it haven't been there yet. If it's not there yet. Now, for the most part, what is the second house? The second house represents your house of values. You know what I'm saying? So your house of values can rely on a person, place, or thing. You see what I'm saying? Now, a thing can revolve around material, can revolve around a gadget, can revolve around a mind state that you may be in. It's a thing that's taking some kind of shape and form in general. You know, the second house represents that earth quality there, you know? So, off the bat. Now, when we want to talk about, it's the house of, the house of values also represents a place or thing. So be careful of that. The thing, long as it step into your brain mechanism of valuing or evaluating or seeing the volume of something. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be in your second house. Now, when we want to talk about also, it's also what you have to offer to the world. So what you have to offer to the world could be internally or externally. Internally could be like a gift, talent, trade, something you have learned, an idea, an artistic thing that you may have got about, a finesse that you got about yourself. Now, externally could be a person, place, or thing also. So you may have like a person in your life or a place you may go or a thing that you may have that could take you from point A to point B effectively, and you can help each other. And ultimately, the second house is how one plants seeds and how one builds its self-esteem. You see what I'm saying? So this is all mechanisms of the second house. Now, like I said, here comes Saturn. Boom! It tears down everything of that house. You see what I'm saying? Now, what is Saturn? Saturn is how one sees reality in one's life. It's how one gains structure, whether it's through a person, place, or thing, or job, equipment, or whatever like that. And it's also where one places but also receives boundaries and restrictions and limits. So Saturn being in going into the second house is knocking down all your values. It's knocking down all what you have to offer to the world. All the seeds you thought you planted, you have to reevaluate, rethink about. You see, you got to rethink about your self-esteem, rethink about what makes you feel good, reissue, restructure, reprogram the things that you value. So when Saturn knocking down the second house, it may play out in circumstances and situations where it forces you to see the reality of the people, places, and things that you're valuing. It forces you to see the reality of what you have to offer to the world. And it knocked down old ways you was gaining structure in your life based upon these things and force you to accumulate a new, brand new growth, new age way of handling this area of life. You see what I'm saying? And these old ways may not work in these times. And Saturn is like the grandfather. It's like tough luck. It gives you that, not tough luck, but tough love. It gives you that unsheltered parenting. You know what I'm saying? To the point that you're going to experience all the woos and woes now, but when you get older and experience it as we experienced it, you'll be more developed and you won't be lost in the sauce like people who may have grew up sheltered. So you see them sheltered. So that's how Saturn thinks. Venus loves to raise people shelter. Earth loves to raise people shelter. Not Saturn so much. So you got both energies going on with these planets alignments. You're sheltered in certain areas and you're not. This is why the areas of life you feel harsh in and feel things is burdening you is the planets that's not trying to shelter you. And Saturn is one of them. So for the most part, you know, Saturn is making you reevaluate. It may play out in your life as you you having to restructure the people, places, and things you value. Like, it may be certain people that you're not supposed to value no more. It might be new people that you need to come in and value. You see what I'm saying? That need to come into your life. It may knock down the area of life of what you felt like you had to offer to the world. Like something that you were so cleaned on trying to put out and plant seeds in the world of, that's getting knocked down, and now you have to restructure and reevaluate and regroup and replan what you actually have to offer to the world. You know what I'm saying? Restructure it and things of that nature. So that's all. This is the main theme. This is the main theme that's going on with the Sagittarius ascendants. When it comes to Saturn, going into Capricorn, you see what I'm saying? Now, you're always going to have tools. You're always going to have tools. So just beware. Just be aware that you're like, you may even develop situations where you have to come up with new ways to gain money, new ways to sustain yourself, new ways to feel comfortable. It's like Saturn is going to do a lot of fuckery here in the second house, but you always got tools to help you assist on the road. So for an example, when that storm is going to come, you want to make sure you built yourself a roof before that storm comes, so everybody in the house don't have to get soaked, aka restructuring your situation and building your house a lot faster. And the tools that you have to do that is the opposite house and the square houses. Now let's start with the opposite house. What is opposite to the second house? The 8th house. Now the 8th house, this is going to be the first thing that causes friction. This is off the back the first thing you're going to experience, because it's automatically a tug-of-war match. But it's going to be your duty and obligation to make this a give and receive match. So here's what's happening. Here's the friction. Here's the actual friction that's going on. What is the 8th house? The 8th house is the behind-the-scenes realm, the things you are in the dark about. So it intrigues you and throw you down a bunch of mind frames and brain waves of wanting to investigate and wanting to do some detective work and wanting to do things behind the scenes and not be seen, and wanting to discover things, you see, and research. You know what I'm saying? Also, is dealing with you know, the alternative motive, and how you think and how you accumulate a person's actions. So it's not what a person just saying and what they're doing, but what's the reason behind what's motivating them to do that. So that goes way down into like jealousy, greed, motivation, desire, passion, life, death, sex, greed, you know what I'm saying? Think jealousy. All these things is what motivate people. Astrology, mysticism, occult. You know what I'm saying? When I say life and death, I just put death to talking about Scorpio ascendant, and just brought life to talking about Sagittarius ascendant. You see what I'm saying? And also, we also want to talk about the situation where we in a mind frame of with the 8th house is things you are in the dark about. So, you know, you may be even going through situations where you start to, because what also cause friction is what attracted also. Opposites also attract. So you may even attract situations in your life where you find out things about people, or find out things about what's going on, or find out things about the people you value, or found out hidden secrets about what you have to offer to the world. And the 8th house represents deep desires, deep motivation, passions. So you may even find out what you should be deeply valuing, what you deeply have to offer to the world. You should apply your deep desires to the second house. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, yeah, the people that you value in you may discover some shit about them right now. But for the most part, with to make this a give and receive match other than a tug-of-war match, sometimes you may have to set aside what you value and what you have to offer to the world for the sake of other people's alternative motives, and what you kind of got a sense of why they're around for, or what they're around for. You know what I'm saying? Or a person's intent, or a person's passion, or their goals, or for the most part, their secrets, or what they're secretly trying to do, and things of that nature. Sometimes you may have to set aside what you value and what you appreciate for the sake of letting somebody be lost. So for an example, that means like, don't try to apply everybody to what you're doing. Everybody that you value, they don't need to know everything that you're doing. They don't need help every time. Sometimes you have to let a person stay in their own darkness, even if they call for advice. Sometimes you may have to chill out and just let it be. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like circumstances and situations where people will be manipulative and take advantage of you. And these people's spirits that come from your 8th house. So these people are manifesting your life from your 8th house. But see, they'll play in your life as people that you value, and people that you appreciate, aka what's opposite from the 8th house? The second house, the house of values. So you got to be very careful, Sagittarius ascendants. You got to be very motherfucking careful what's going on right now, because you got a lot of manipulative people in your life, but also you're going to have a lot of people who you may they may appear to be manipulative, but it's just like they may got their own secrets. So when they come around you, they got this certain energetic force. So you here not to prejudge. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, you're in this, you in a sticky situation. So you see what I'm saying? You gotta understand how to situate yourself when you come to an agreement, when you got what you value and you got what somebody else value, aka the second house is what you value, and the eighth house would be like a shared value or someone else's intent, willpower, passions, and motivation. So you know, just to make this a give and receive match, sometimes you have to set aside what you value and what you have to offer to the world for the sake of what you think somebody else intentions are. For an example, here's another example. It may be something that you value, that you need, right? But another person may have alternative motives, right, to get that from you because they know you have it, because it's a value of yours. So you know what I'm saying? And they may play manipulative role of the eighth house, putting you in the dark of certain circumstances and situations. So that's what you gotta understand and shit when it comes to the opposite houses here. Now, when we so that's how you make this a give and receive match. Now, to make this now, the squares is a learning process. So these are your other tools that you have and things of that nature. So the other tools that you have is the square houses. Squares represents learning process, because you know the squares and the oppositions are actually the positive mechanisms when it comes to the house, because the areas of life is your houses, and we are here to learn. So what is the best thing to do when you're living life is to learn. So now let's get to the square houses. Now the square houses from the second house is, I believe, the 11th and the 5th house. So with the let's start off with the 5th house. As far as to the second house, because yeah, that's 3rd, 4th, 5th. Okay, it's a square house. So off the bat, now this is a learn. Now what is the 5th house? The 5th house is how you express yourself. It's your creative house, how you creatively express yourself and the things you're creatively into. And also the 5th house is your 3 forms of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the things you're entertained by, how you entertain, like what make you entertaining to others, and the things that you choose to entertain, whether that's a person, place, or thing, or conversation, or whatever. That's your 3 forms of entertainment. And it's also how you have fun and how you enjoy yourself. So that's the 5th house. So the more you learn how to apply that area of life to your second house, aka, you know what I'm saying, you may be in circumstances or situations where you're stubborn to the fact of valuing the way you express yourself, valuing the way other people express themselves. People may be expressing themselves in all these kind of ways that show you shouldn't fuck with them. But since they step into your area of life, the people that you value, you set aside a lot of these things. You can't do that right here. You have to learn how to apply other people's expressions, and even learn how to value other people's expressions that you may not know, that you may be try to prejudge. Nah, learn how to value. That may be your best friend, or that may be your next relationship. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying, because the fifth house represents that too, and outgoing. Now, also with the second house, you need to learn how to apply your creative ability to the second house. So you need to learn how to start valuing your creative energy. Learn how to start valuing what you're creatively into. Learn how to start making these things a part of what you have to offer to the world. Start expressing these things. Start also your 3 forms of entertainment and things of that nature. Make sure these are the areas of life that you're planting seeds in, the things you're entertained by. Make sure you're planting seeds in those areas of life and building your self-esteem. Make sure you're valuing. Make sure this is what you have to offer to the world. Your personality and your creativity. Make sure you're valuing these things. Learn how to value them. Because you may be in certain circumstances where you're pushing aside these things. You may value this certain person, place, or thing, or this job. So, but that don't align yourself with your creativity, or the way you express yourself, or the things you're entertained by. Like, they're totally separate. You have to learn how to apply these things. And the faster, your second house is going to get built. So you don't have to experience any storms come in and your ass don't have a roof yet. You need to hurry up and build this house. Now, your other square is going to be the 11th house. So what is the 11th house? How you conduct yourself in the public arena. And it's also how you deal with the unknown and unfamiliar, which those things accumulated help build how you conduct yourself in the public arena. So what does the unknown and unfamiliar means? Let's start with the unknown. Unknown is science, astrology, occult, mysticism, and science. Because you know these things are having new discoveries every day. So it steps into the unknown area of life. So even if you know about these things, they're going to have a bunch of things talking about unknown things or trying to be aware of certain things. And when we talk about technology, the technology portion of it, that's dealing with your social ability. How you are able to socialize and communicate and put yourself out there in certain ways, shapes, and forms, as far as via communication, computer, phone, text messages, and all these type of things. Now, the unfamiliar plays a lot like the 7th and the 3rd house, just more on a scattered level. So the unfamiliar plays in as not just your relationship or not just your close proximities, like brother sister, and not just your relationship like the 3rd house, brother sister, like the 3rd house, or your neighborhood, or not just your relationships like the 7th house, but this is more of your associates, people you hang with every other day, your cousins, your uncles, aunts, grandfathers, grandparents, associates, associations, your things that you're organized, your things that you're a part of, as far as like the location of your job or your groups you're a part of, your grouping, the things you're organized with, and things of that nature. And all these things consist of how you conduct yourself in the public arena and how to handle strangers and things of that nature, but not be persuaded and have your own unique fixated nature here. This is why Aquarius rules the 11th house. But for the most part, you need to learn how to apply all that energy to your 2nd house in some way, shape, or form. You see what I'm saying? In some way, shape, or form, you need to learn how to apply how you conduct yourself to the public arena, and apply it to the house of how you value or what you have to offer to the world. What you have to offer, you may have a talent. What you have to offer to the world internally, it may be a talent, a gift, or trade, or something like that. You need to learn how to start applying that to the public in some type of way. Stop being afraid or stop self-doubting. We're in a whole new time and place, and if you don't learn how to apply this house with this house, you're going to experience woos and woes and storms coming without you having a roof yet in that house. So you need to learn how to apply this. You see what I'm saying? Learn how to apply the nature of this house to your 2nd house, which is the 11th house, as far as, you know, conducting yourself in a public arena. You know, you may have a relative that maybe could get you from point A to point B, and you could value them or feel like this is what they have to offer to the world. It may be something that's dealing with science, astrology, occult, mysticism, or somebody you are socially involved with, or something dealing with technology or something. Or you may be into science, or you may be into technology in general. Start to value this. And make sure you put it in an area of life to the point that you like, okay, this is what I have to offer to the world. I went to college for this, or I did this for this, or I learned this technology. Make it part of what you have to offer to the world. And you're gonna see, and the more you learn how to do that, the more you're gonna start seeing things take shape and form in your life to the point that you're gonna be able to gain structure faster than others that got the same placement. So yeah, that's Saturn going in Capricorn for my Sagittarius ascendants. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air.